Good morning, everyone. It's Wednesday, August 5th. From the San Antonio Express News, my name is Luis Vasquez, and this is your Express Briefing. All of the stories you need to know to start your day. You can expect sunny skies and a high of about 100 in San Antonio today. With a backlog of death cases making its way through the system, Metro Health reported 10 deaths Tuesday, dating back as far as April. The death toll in Bexar County is now at 380 by Metro Health count. Officials reported 136 new cases of the virus on Tuesday and noted there were fewer people in the hospital with the disease. During a virtual town hall this evening, Dr. Jundo Wu, medical director of the San Antonio Metropolitan Health District, will listen to community feedback and answer audience questions about the reopening of schools while the coronavirus continues to surge in Bexar County. Thursday morning, you're invited to join the Express News editorial board as they interview UTSA President Taylor Egme and Texas A&M University San Antonio President Cynthia Teniente Matson about higher education and the upcoming school year amid COVID-19. And now, let's move on to the top stories for the day. A key issue in flashy San Antonio personal injury lawyer Thomas J. Henry's split with longtime partner Azteca Henry wouldn't be up for debate in a typical divorce case. That is, are they even married? 58-year-old Thomas J. Henry argues they're not husband and wife. 42-year-old Azteca says they are. Records show Henry and Azteca wed in 1999 but divorced 15 years ago. However, according to a court filing by Azteca last week, the pair was living together at the time of their 2005 divorce and continued to live together until he moved out last summer. Patrick Danner explores the case from both sides with more details. Governor Greg Abbott used a stop in San Antonio on Tuesday to reiterate that school boards have authority to overrule advisories from local public health officials in setting when schools reopen and when students go back to in-classroom teaching during the pandemic. Abbott said the school boards can take input from local public health officials, but if there's a disagreement, the local school district will prevail. His remarks met with a sharp rebuke from the Texas State Teachers Association, which represents 60,000 teachers and support staff. Read more about the confusion and debate over the governor's guidance on school reopenings at the link in the episode's description. Governor Greg Abbott asserted Tuesday that the state is ensuring the highest level of accuracy in how it records county-by-county deaths from COVID-19. But officials from San Antonio to the Rio Grande Valley expressed doubt about the veracity of those numbers. In Hidalgo County, where the disease is so widespread that an overflow hospital opened at a convention center on Tuesday, the state is undercounting deaths by 244, Hidalgo County Judge Richard Cortez said. In Bexar County, the situation is the opposite of Hidalgo's. The state is reporting nearly twice as many COVID-19 deaths as the San Antonio Metropolitan Health District. Brian Chasnoff takes a closer look at the numbers and what's behind the discrepancy. Columnist Gilbert Garcia writes, quote, "Right now, the 2020 general election is most definitely not going Donald Trump's way. National polls show him trailing presumptive Democratic nominee Joe Biden by double digits. His approval ratings languish under 40%, and he's struggling to cope with the COVID-19 pandemic and the economic wreckage it has wrought. It's no surprise that Trump is preemptively making excuses for a possible election loss by suggesting that expanded mail-in voting will result in widespread fraud. That's how he operates. If he's going down in November, he wants to take all remaining trust in our electoral systems and bring it down with him." You can read the rest of the column at the link in the episode's description. More than 40,000 people in San Antonio have tested positive with COVID-19, nearly 2,000 of whom have been hospitalized. If you or someone you know has received medical care or ended up in the hospital because of COVID-19, we want to hear from you. You can find more info in the link in the episode's description. Next up are your need-to-know headlines. You can find all of these headlines and more inside your Express News subscription. The San Antonio Water System Board approved a shift Tuesday in private control of the Vista Ridge pipeline from the Kansas City-based company that led construction of the line to an investment firm. USAA is giving its auto insurance customers another dividend, the third such benefit during the coronavirus pandemic that has led to fewer cars on the road. American Way, the American Airlines in-flight magazine, is the last of its kind among major carriers, at least on domestic flights. Read more in the Wary Traveler column. Developers are remaking golf courses as affordable housing projects, parks and trails, farms, orchards, and vineyards. The trend is playing out in San Antonio, where a golf course on the southeast side may soon become a mixed-use development. Senate Democrats say they're planning to spend at least 7 figures to boost MJ Hager's bid against incumbent U.S. Senator John Cornyn after a series of recent polls show the former Air Force pilot within single digits of the 3-term Republican. The Express News editorial board writes, quote, "In another world, many children are returning to school on campus this year because case counts are under control. But that's not our Texas. It's just a fantasy of what might have been." Michael Taylor writes, quote, "The difference between life and death for the air carriers in the next 18 months has less to do with any particular strategy bet the CEO makes and more to do with what teams of vaccine researchers can do." Eased travel restrictions and a rebound in oil demand in recent months boosted San Antonio pipeline operator NewStar Energy's earnings in the second quarter, though the firm still is down significantly compared with the pre-pandemic times. Wyndham Destinations has laid off 116 sales and marketing employees in its San Antonio timeshare office, a reflection of the depressed hospitality industry both locally and nationally. Chris Tomlinson writes, quote, "The U.S. death toll from COVID-19 has topped 150,000, including almost 8,000 fatalities in Texas, and still, too many Americans underestimate the expanding damage to our society and economy." Everything's connected as athletes call for change, sports columnist Mike Finger writes, adding, "It's no wonder that the calls for change keep growing in volume." General David Goldfein's military career started with a gap year at the Air Force Academy that saw him bicycle across the country. Now, as he prepares to retire to San Antonio after serving as U.S. Air Force Chief of Staff, Goldfein is putting his 37-year career in the rearview mirror. And now let's move on to the fun stuff. Francisco Figueroa has crafted custom leather guitar straps for stars such as John Mayer, John Bon Jovi, Chris Stapleton, Faith Hill, and Tim McGraw. But if there's one leather good that's been especially good to Figueroa, it's his Yeti cup handle. Rene Guzman has several esoteric leather wares from Figueroa and other leather makers in and around San Antonio. Chimichurri is grilled food's best friend, writes Henrik von Bargen, a professor and team leader at the Culinary Institute of America at San Antonio. Greg Popovich wants the NBA's relaxed dress code for the bubble games in Central Florida to become permanent league policy. Whataburger is celebrating its 70th birthday by giving away free burgers. Black Rifle Coffee Company is opening San Antonio's first location on Bitters Road soon. And that's all for today. This was your Express Briefing. My name is Luis Vasquez. Please consider becoming an Express News subscriber to get in-depth coverage on all the stories you heard today. Also, be sure to rate and review this podcast inside your Apple Podcast app, as it really helps the show. Have a wonderful day, everyone.